Positions. Just some housekeeping notes before we start. There's a pane in the webinar window for you to drop any questions you have right in there. We will take some time at the end for Q&A. I will also be sending a follow-up email with links to some of the materials presented, as well as some other valuable resources. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Angie Swirsky. I am the Mapping and GIS Sales Manager here at NEI. My portion of the webinar today is going to be talk about just a very brief overview of the TDC150. We also have Scott Alsbrook. Scott is our Mapping and GIS Sales Consultant up in Arkansas. He'll be talking a little bit about project setup, and then a little bit later on down the webinar talking about post-processing with Trimble Positions. We also have Emily Roberts. Emily is actually put together a really great video that we're going to share with you, the virtual demonstration of the TDC150. And last but not least, we have Eric Bacon in the background for he'll be involved with some Q&A we might have later. Eric is our training and support manager here at NEI. So if you've attended any of our webinars over the last year, you've likely heard us talk about the TDC150. I mean, it is the newest all-in-one handheld device from Trimble. So I'm not going to get in the weeds on all the specs, but here are some quick facts about the device itself, which makes it unique. I mean, it is scalable from sub-meter to centimeter. It has an all-day battery. It also has a sunlight readable screen, which is always a challenge in the field with certain devices, and this one you can actually see when you're out there working those long hours. Very rugged with an IP67 rating, and you can connect it via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, or with a SIM card from certain cell phone providers. Our data collection app is Trimble TerraFlex, which Emily's going to be showing in detail in her video. TerraFlex is, if you're not familiar, TerraFlex is cloud-based data collection solution. It does work with any device, whether it's Android, iOS, or Windows. The forms are built on the back end in the office and pushed out to the field workers so they know what data they need to be collecting, as well as those attributes related to those features being collected. So as long as you have a connection in the field, whether it's hotspot or a SIM card, you can push the data back and forth in real time. This isn't a limitation though. If you're somewhere where you don't have connectivity, you can simply just sync your data collection when you get back to civilization, and it will go back right into the field or into the office portion. Similar on that note is Esri Collector. We do have a lot of customers that do use this. It works very similar to TerraFlex in being that it's cloud-based. This one is specifically for iOS and Android. We did host a webinar a couple weeks ago on Collector and its new features for Android, including MSL in the field. So I will be providing a link to this webinar. Like I said, we're not going to focus a lot on Collector, but just wanted to touch on this. A lot of people do use it, and that we have turned out some great resources over the past couple of weeks, on the specific workflow. So here, I'm going to turn it over to Scott to run us through project setup.
Okay, can everybody see my screen okay?
Yep, you're good.
All right, thank you, Angie. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scott Alsbrook. I'm here in Arkansas, and today I'm going to cover the desktop portion of our webinar, focusing on Trimble Positions, which is a add-in for ArcGIS Desktop. And what we're going to do is we're going to start over here on the right side of the screen, and we're going to look at our geodatabase and go through the process of publishing a project. And then what I'm going to do is turn it over to Emily so she can show the field portion, and then we'll come back, we'll bring some data in and go through the post-processing to show the value that that adds to your data collection efforts. Just to start, I want to jump into a mock data set that I've got here in my neighborhood. And what I've done is I've collected a GIS database for utilities and various neighborhood items that you might find out there. So what I wanted to touch on real quick before we jump into Trimble Positions is the value of setting up a geodatabase specifically with data collection in mind. So under catalog, I have my Allsbrookville USA geodatabase, and a couple things that are important to pay attention to when you're setting these up is domain values and how valuable that is for your field workers and their ease of use and streamlining of data collection. So you can see here on the screen, next to manufacturer for my fire hydrant, I have a domain value set, hydrant manufacturer. And what I'm going to do is show you what that looks like in the database properties where you set up your domains. So for hydrant manufacturer, you'll see down there at the bottom of the screen the list of manufacturers that we've got. Why this is important is in the field, it translates to drop-down values. Trimble Positions will take the geodatabase schema for your geodatabase and publish the collection templates based off of that. So having a geodatabase that's well organized and straightforward will certainly streamline your data collection in the field. Once the geodatabase is set up, we're ready to get into Positions. And when you install Positions, it's this simple looking 2-button toolbar up there at the top of the screen. And we'll click on the first button, and this opens up the desktop administration window. There's various things that you can do in here, setting up the projects, managing devices. Today we're going to focus on setting up a new project, and when we come back, we'll set up a processing profile using the desktop administrator. So let's start a new project. After we click on projects, it opens this screen. It shows our existing projects that we've been working on, and we're going to create a new one. Now the Create Project Wizard consists of 5 steps, and it walks you through each one very simply. The project type, this is going to be TerraFlex on Connect. We just choose that. If we have any errors with our geodatabase or our map document, it'll let us know here that we need to fix something. This error that I've got, not error, but warning that I've got on my screen just is that I've got 2 different geodatabases displayed, and I'll only be able to take data from one of them to the field. We'll log in using our Trimble Connect credentials. What this does is it sets up a link between our desktop and Trimble Connect out on the cloud. That way, when we publish this, it becomes accessible to TerraFlex in the field. We'll choose where in our Connect space that we want the project to be stored, or the collection templates to be stored. At NEI, we have a shared project workspace, and everyone on our team is included in that, and you'll see why that's valuable on the last step. Today, I only want to take my hydrants to the field, so I've unselected everything except for hydrants. Click Next. On the third step, we can add feature level metadata is really what it is. These are auto-generated fields, and you can select which ones you want to be added to your data. You can just add them all, and if you have a existing field in your tables, you can map each one of these to a specific field. If you don't, what it'll do is create a new field at the end of your table to house that information. Today, I've turned on a couple of options that I think are valuable for QAing my data when I bring it back in. I'll always like to turn on the correction status and the source and my estimated accuracies. That way, when I get back in the field or in the office from the field, if something doesn't look right, I can go to these tables and generally figure out why something isn't lining up quite right. On the fourth step is where we're going to decide whether or not we want to do solely real-time collection or if we want to have the ability to post-process the data later. Today, I am going to show the post-processing functionality when we get back from the field, and I am going to leave everything off as far as real-time goes to show what that looks like on my end. Emily's going to show in her video how to set up real-time in TerraFlex when you're out in the field. So we kind of got both of those things covered here today. On the last project creation screen here, we're just going to name our project. This is what it's going to display as in TerraFlex. If we want to get MSL values for our elevation, we will want to calculate a geoid separation. In this case, I chose geoid 12B. And then down at the bottom, you can see where I have the ability to add other teammates. So I didn't add anybody else today, but I could have very easily added Emily. She could have collected data right into this project for me, and then it would have synced right back to me here in Arkansas. Key step that we don't want to miss is rather than hit the finish button first, we have to hit publish. What that's going to do is it's going to ask us to save our project and make sure that we want to continue with publishing. Once we do that, it will create a new project, and it'll process this information and send it out to Connect. That way, once it's finished processing, our data will be, our collection templates will be available in TerraFlex in the field. Once it's done doing that, all we have to do is hit OK and finish. That's all there is to setting up a project to take data collection out to the field in TerraFlex. So now I'm going to turn it over to Emily and let her introduce our video, and I will get that pulled up.
Hi everyone, this is Emily Roberts in Alabama. I just wanted to thank you for attending today. I created the demo you're about to see using the Trimble TDC150, the Zephyr 3 antenna, and the LTI True Pulse laser rangefinder. I collected all the data with the Trimble TerraFlex workflow, so I hope you enjoy.
This is Emily with NEI. Oh yeah. Oh, today. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm totally ready. Yeah. Okay, alright, bye.
We're all going through a weird time right now, but the important thing is we're going to get through it together. And at NEI, we're here for you, rain, shine, pajamas, whatever. My name is Emily Roberts. I'm the newest team member. I represent Alabama for GIS, and I'd love to meet you. Love to come out and say hi, so contact me. My information will be at the end of this demo. I'm going to show you how to use the TDC 150 today, how to collect some points and lines, and like I said, just contact me if you have any questions, you'd like to see a demo in person. We're going to be at the Irondale Whistle Stop Cafe. It's a historic cafe, and also, you know, they have fried green tomatoes, but unfortunately it's closed right now, so we can't get any. But if you come visit, then maybe we can get some together. Let's get started.
I'm going to demonstrate how to put the Zephyr and the TDC 150 and the rangefinder all on one pole. You have everything on one pole. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to set up the Bluetooth to the rangefinder, and also how to use real-time correction. So you'll want to go into your settings, and you'll need a Wi-Fi signal if you don't have a SIM card. So as you can see, I'm connected to a hotspot. And then for Bluetooth, that's how you're gonna configure your rangefinder. On the top, there's an up and a down button. You'll hold the bottom button down and click it twice, and you'll see BT, and then it'll come up on your screen, and it'll start with a TP for True Pulse. So you'll click that. I know for this one, it's 1111. So you might want to try that as well. So first we're going to start in TerraFlex. So open that up, and then you're going to set up your configurations. So you go to the hamburger icon, and then you go to settings. Okay. The location service, you'll leave the same as the integrated Trimble GNSS, and that's here. Antenna setting, this is about 6 feet 2 inches, so I'm gonna put 1.89 meters. The antenna type, you're gonna change to the Zephyr rover, and the measurement method is at the bottom of the antenna mount. Okay, so now we're gonna do a real-time correction, and we would have prepared this beforehand at the office, so you would have done it in TerraFlex or Trimble Positions in ArcMap. So in Birmingham, we have a free real-time connection called from ALDOT. So I'm going to select ALDOT Birmingham. And then we'll connect our laser rangefinder here as well. Okay, so that's all good. So we've set up the whole project, and now we're gonna see what kind of estimated accuracy we're getting. So we'll go into location status. As you notice, we're in an open area, so we're gonna start in this area to pick up as many satellite signals as we can. So I actually went back into settings, and I changed the unit system into imperial. So you can see the antenna height now is 6.2 feet. And then also now when we go to our location services or status, it's in inches. So now we have a really good signal with and a real-time correction with ALDOT. So we're at 3 inches horizontal, 0.6 inches vertical. So we're ready to take our first point. Okay. So we found our first hydrant. We're gonna take this point. We are next to a building, so you will see our status change a little there. So we'll go to hydrant. And you see that we're 3 inches estimated accuracy. You would fill this out with all the information you would find on the hydrant, including if you wanted to put a description. Once you've filled it all out, you hit the check mark, and then you've collected that form. And then we're just gonna move right over here to this water meter. So for this, you would just click on meter. and then you'd put in the meter number and also the condition, and this looks great, so we're going to click fair. Normally, if there was any kind of damage, then I would go ahead and take an image, and then you just hit the check mark, and that is saved. Okay, so we found a meter in a bad spot. So basically it's under this awning with the tin roof. So as you can see on the screen, it's in, the accuracy's in feet now. We're gonna go ahead and take this point. So just like any other point, you'll just put in the meter number, and the condition here is fair, and then we'll hit the check mark. So then we're gonna try something else to get a better accuracy in this area. So we came out in the open to get a better reading of this water meter. So the water meter is over here. We're out here in the open. So what we're gonna do is press meter. When this comes up, you'll click on the area at the top that says point and collected accuracy. You'll click there. So a new screen will come up showing you the map, and then you will press this middle button with an X and a waypoint. So you'll log your current position, and then it says waiting for laser rangefinder. So you'll look through it and you'll point it directly at the center of that water meter. Hold down the button and it captures the offset. It guides you through some tips, and then it says you have a 9-inch accuracy, which is fine for us because we're sub-foot. But if you wanted to refine that, you could press refine, and then you see a yellow triangle next to that meter point. You would just walk your whole pole and you'll see that you're the black dot. And once you're in the middle of that yellow triangle, you'll log another position. Take the same point on the water meter. Right? And it still says 9-inch accuracy, but again, that's great for us because we're sub-foot. So now I can show you how far off that original point was that we took by coming back to the water meter. As you can see, this is a lot closer than just being under the awning and trying to take a point. This rangefinder will help you a lot in points like this. Before this, we've been taking only points. So in front of me, there's a distribution main line for water. Of course, it's not dug up. I don't know what it's made out of or anything like that. But just for pretend today to show you this, we're gonna start the line here. So again, just kind of like the offset, you'll click up here where it says line not collected, and I'm going to choose to walk this line. So at the bottom you'll see the walking man. You'll click on him, and then you just start walking in a straight line in the middle of this distribution line. Now you can, once you stop, you press back on the walking man, and then just click the check for collected. And like I said, normally we would have more information to fill in if I knew it. So right now we're going to leave it blank. We'll hit a check mark there, and now we've collected that line. Okay, so we found another hydrant here that we're going to take a point of. I always like to try to keep the Zephyr right over the middle. As you can tell, we're in canopy, so we're going to look at our location settings. And as you can see, our accuracy definitely dies down under canopy. So if you wanted to use the laser rangefinder for this point too, you could. We're going to go ahead and take this point. So you would again fill out all the information that you would need. Click the check mark for collected. So there's a water valve here, so we're going to collect that. And you just check the mark to collect it. So when you take this off the pole, you'll have to go into your settings and then take off the antenna. So you'll just say TDC150 internal. And then the antenna height, I would just kind of gauge how high I hold it. So about around 3 feet. Okay, so let's see what kind of accuracy now we'll get over the hydrant. So we're right at almost 2 feet horizontal, 3 feet vertical. So we'll go ahead and collect this point here. I'm just going to put handheld in this note so I'll see the difference between them. You can go into the map now. You can actually click on the points by clicking the button in the top left corner. So we can see the one that I have selected now is the handheld, and the one that is going to be more accurate is here to the lower left corner, and that's closest to that water valve. You can see the difference there. So it definitely helps using the Zephyr in canopy or any kind of situation where you have objects over your head.
How to use the virtual pole with the handheld TDC150. So we're going to collect this meter point. So you'll hit meter. You'll click in the area towards the top that says point collected. It's going to bring up the map. You'll click the button in the bottom middle, and then it'll bring on the camera and have crosshairs on it. You'll want to match up this circle at the bottom till it turns green. Then you'll click the middle button at the bottom, and it has taken that point, so you'll hit the check mark. You'll put in the meter number, and this condition needs a replaced lid and box, so we'll check both of those, and then we're going to take an image of it. So we'll just hold this right over the box, hit the middle button, and check, and hit the upper check to take the point, and that's all you have to do.
I really wish there was a way that I could request a round of applause for that. Emily did a fantastic job putting that video together. I think it shows the TerraFlex field workflow really well. She touched on all of the key points that we like for our customers to see in an 18-minute video. So that was just perfect. Thank you, Emily. A couple of quick things that I want to show from some screenshots that I have from my TDC150 that I took out and used when I was collecting hydrants for my project that we set up a little bit ago. This is what it looked like after I published it to TerraFlex. So you can see I've just got my one hydrant. And to show how I had this set up in the field, I didn't have any real-time configuration turned on. So all of my data is collected autonomously using the TDC150 centimeter with the Zephyr 3, the exact same setup that Emily was showing in the video. So to collect that point, I just tap on hydrant. And when we set it up to do post-processing, you'll notice that rather than a 1-second observation, it does an average of 10. So you'll see it in that blue bar right there on the top of the screen. It'll count up to 10 and then save the location. If you tap on the satellite, this is a little different view than what Emily showed in the video. In addition to the real-time accuracy across the top, it adds 2 more boxes there to show your horizontal and vertical estimated post-process accuracy, your predicted post-process accuracy. So I wanted to show that. It's a little different than when you're collecting using real-time, but this is what you would want to look for while you're out collecting in the field. Now, in my subdivision, you might have noticed there's not very many trees, there's no big buildings, so I'm in an ideal situation to collect high accuracy data. Also wanted to point out, and Emily showed it in the video, but I wanted to show that under my manufacturer dropdown and my attributes, this mirrors my database exactly. So this kind of shows you what that looks like and the advantage to spending the time to set up your quality geodatabase before you hit the field. Once that's done, you just hit the checkbox at the top. You can sync your data, and then once you get back to the office, if you don't have a cellular or Wi-Fi connection in the field, when you get back to the office, you hit the Wi-Fi there, sync your data, and then you can turn off the TDC150 because we're back to the office. And back in ArcGIS, we will need to set up a post-processing profile to correct the information that we collected in the field. You only have to do this once for a given geographic area. So once we set this up in the desktop administration window, we won't have to revisit this each time we need to correct data. We just need to set it up to connect to our base station right now. You can see I only have one processing profile built at the moment. It's for Jonesboro, which is in the northeast part of Arkansas. And I am in central Arkansas, so I'm going to create a new one connecting to a base station more local to where I'm at. I'm going to name my profile Central Arkansas, and I'm going to select my base station from this list. One really neat feature that Trimble has added is the ability to search by city. If you are zoomed out to maybe the whole state, you can search by city to narrow your base station list. Or if you've zoomed into the area where you've collected the data, then you can just use the current map center. And that's what I did here because I'm working in a very small area today. So the closest base station to me that's available is Pulaski Area GIS. And I know this base station, I've been using it for a long time, and I trust the data that's coming from it. You can see in the columns to the right how far it is from me. You can also see that it's an L2 receiver, and the G stands for GLONASS. So since all of our receivers are GLONASS capable, we want to be able to process that data using the GLONASS if the base station has it available to us. Once I select that, I'm just going to hit OK. Then I'm just going to hit OK to save that profile, Central Arkansas, and it'll add it to my list. Now I'm done in the desktop administration window, and I can just hit OK to close that. Now we're going to go back to that 2-button toolbar, and the second button that looks like a little GPS receiver, we're going to select that to open up this dockable positions desktop window. The way that our post-processing works with publishing projects, they're calling it sessions. So we're going to handle the sessions by clicking this button down here. And what this is going to do is, since I am logged in using my credentials, you can see there in blue, I'm going to click Get Sessions, and that's going to go out to the Trimble Connect website and find any undownloaded sessions that I've collected using TerraFlex. Here is a session that I collected yesterday morning, and I'm going to just check the box and hit download. It tells me that I have successfully downloaded the March session. You can see that it added it to my sessions down at the bottom in the dockable window. This will give you a status. You can see on the far right of the last column under status, it says waiting for corrections. So now all we need to do is hit correct and go through the process of post-processing our data. I'm going to select the session that I want to process. I'm going to choose my processing profile that we just set up, and I want to delete previously downloaded base files to make sure that I'm just getting the most current information. We hit the correct button, and it'll go through the process. Now, if you're used to seeing the post-processing wizard and engine from Pathfinder Office, this is going to look very similar. It's going to run through, and then at the end, it's going to give you an accuracy report for the data that you've post-processed. Like I said, I've got ideal scenario for collecting high accuracy data. And fortunately, all the data that I collected with my TDC150 processed down to 0 to 5 centimeters. Just hit the X at the top right to close that. And you can see in the box there, the green box on the screen, that's just bounding all of the data that I just brought in. And you can also see in my status column that it is corrected successfully, but it's not been updated in the geodatabase. All we have to do to update the positional information for those features is click down there at the bottom where it says Update Features. I zoomed in on this particular point. There isn't actually a hydrant here, but what I do have down on a storm inlet in front of my house is a survey control that's set there, and I use it for testing accuracy of data that I collected with all of our receivers. You can see there at the top left the uncorrected position. That's about 1 meter and a little over 1 meter away from my control. And after processing, you can see it brought it just within a few centimeters of that X in the middle of the screen. Now, post-processing adds a lot to the TerraFlex workflow that we didn't have up until recently. It gives us the ability to work in areas where we don't have access to a real-time source. So if you're working in a state that doesn't have an open VRS, or you're working in an area with limited or no cell coverage, this gives you a really good option to collect data and then be able to post-process it to get high accuracy once you get back in the field or back in the office. There's a couple of things that I want to mention about Trimble Positions, and that is if you are a TerraSync and Pathfinder user, we do have a migration plan for those customers. So if you have current maintenance for your Pathfinder office, we can take that and convert it to a Trimble Positions license. That will give you the ability to do all of this data collection and processing right from within ArcMap. It's a really great opportunity that Trimble is allowing us to extend to you guys. Another thing is right now we're all working, not all, but a lot of us are working from home, and now is a great time to get that gear out and do some testing with it. If you'd like to receive a trial of TerraFlex or the Positions toolbar, all you have to do is reach out to me or your rep in your state, and we will help get you set up with that. There are some other tools out there for helping people migrate from the older workflows to Trimble Positions. That would specifically be people that are running TerraSync on something like a Geo Explorer, and we're moving to a TDC150. It's this new tool that's on the Trimble community. It's called TerraSync to TerraFlex. And what it does is it just allows you to upload your data dictionary file that you had set up in Pathfinder Office for TerraSync, and basically port that in to TerraFlex templates that you can then share with your other projects within Connect, and take that information, those collection templates, back out into the field to use in TerraFlex. There is a place that you can download it on the Trimble Community User Forum. If you're not on that, I suggest that you sign up for it. We will send a link to that also in the follow-up email to the webinar. With that, there's a couple things that I know Angie wants to touch on with you guys, and I will bring her back to cover some offerings that we have right now.
All right, thanks, Scott. Yeah, Emily did a great job. Just want to touch on a couple of things before we get into some Q&A. Is that Trimble has extended a really lucrative financing program right now for any sort of gear you'd want to purchase for us. We and Trimble do understand that there's still work to be done, even though we're working in these weird times. And I know that cash flow for some people and some organization is a concern. So this is to hopefully give some incentive to give you that cushion that you need, knowing that you're still going to have the work, whether it's tomorrow or 3 months down the road. So excuse me, that's 3 months of deferred payments, and then the remaining at 0% interest. So something you'd like to take advantage of, definitely get a hold of myself, Scott, Emily, your local NEI rep. We could talk with you further. Can you hit the next slide, Scott? So Emily showed this, minus the rangefinder, but we are offering a promotion right now on the centimeter edition of the TDC150 centimeter with a Zephyr 3 antenna. So the MSRP on the 150 itself is $85.95. So essentially you're getting that Zephyr for free. So that is a promotion that we are running until the end of the quarter, so through June 30th. And again, if this is something you'd like to know more about, contact us. I will be sending out a follow-up email. Feel free to just reach back out to me and I can point you in the right direction. We are at NEI starting to open up and, do some customer visits depending on, who's open, who's comfortable, if there's the right location. But, it is an option for us if it is something you would like to see live, just to, before you sign anything on the dotted line, just let us know. We'd be more than happy to either host a very specific follow-up webinar with you or arrange to meet you somewhere, whether that be at your office, a park, whatever works, for everyone. So awesome. And again, here's our contact information, and I'm going to open it up to some Q&A. Let's see. So Scott, I'll throw this one at you. What other Trimble receivers support post-processing?
Yeah, so in addition to the TDC150, the R series receivers, like the R1 and the R2, those will support post-processing. A couple of the data collectors that are used as data collection devices, like the TDC600 and the Nomad 5, those units do not support post-processing, so it'll be the 150 and the R series receivers.
Awesome, thanks, Scott. Emily, pose this one to you. So you were using the 360R laser from LTI. Just there was a question that is the only laser that is compatible. Would you like to touch on that?
Sure. Yeah, like you said, I was using the 360R, but we also support the from the LTI line, the 200 series, and of course the 360 that I was using.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Emily. We've had a lot of luck. We've been selling the LTI lasers for a lot of years at NEI, so we definitely have a history with that company, and they make a good product. Eric, I know you've been in the background, looking at some questions. Is there any one question or a couple that maybe popped out to you that I know you've been kind of responding in the background? Anyone that you would like to just make sure that everyone's aware of before we end the webinar?
Sure. So yeah, there's been a lot of good questions. I'll just call out a few. One asked, what versions of ArcMap are available for Trimble Positions desktop add-in? So we support all the way back to 10.1. The post-processing stuff that Scott showed is on the latest version of 10.8.1. Some other ones here. Let's see. With the Trimble TerraSync workflow, there was a 7-day time limit on an SSF file. So if you collected data after 7 days, it made you collect a new file. So the question was, do you have that kind of time frame or limitation in Positions? And the answer is no. You don't have to worry about a 7-day time limit whenever you're collecting data. Let's see. There's a few questions about how this is set up with Collector. Angie mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, Aaron and I did a webinar maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago on this topic, and we can send out a link. But if you go to YouTube and just type in NEI GPS, you'll see I have made 3 or 4 videos on Collector specific to 150s, to the R2s. There's some older ones with older setup, but the newest ones have the latest versions. And then we also have the webinar on there and a few others. So that's, we can follow up with customers that asked about that. Let's see, we got anything else? A couple on the questions, did it have a camera on it? There's definitely a camera. The TDC150 has a rear 13 megapixel camera, and the front camera is 2 megapixel. Let's see. Trying to think if there's anything else that's kind of sticking out right now.
Hey,
How
Eric,
about the one about that those positions work with enterprise geodatabases?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's a great question. So it works with the file or the enterprise geodatabase. Scott, you had something that you want to add in?
Well, that was the question that I was going to point out. I saw James had posted that, so I was just going to answer that if it didn't come up.
Yep. And then I'll have a video that goes into a little bit more detail coming out. I've already recorded it. I'm just cleaning it up. It goes a little bit more into the post-processing side of Positions. So that'll be available here in the next week or so. That's all I got.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Eric, Emily, Scott. Good job today. I like everyone else. Thank you for attending. And again, look for the follow-up materials. It will either be later this afternoon or tomorrow morning. And again,